Hello and welcome back to another episode of Tiger Eye. We have a jam-packed episode for you this week. First off, we are looking back on the soccer season for our varsity boys. Next up this week, Alex is learning more about being involved politically. Next, for our final segment this week, we are taking a further look into the Raiders meets. But first, let's start the week off by talking about sports. Ford's varsity soccer team did very well this year, making it to second-round playoffs. Taking a look back at the successful team, Captain E09 tells us how the team has improved since the beginning of the season.
I definitely wish we could have went farther, but I think this season was pretty well. Considering my senior year, I have a lot of young guys playing for us, but I think the season went well.
Ford varsity soccer went very far this year, but not without facing challenges during the season.
The team seemed to be really resilient. Obviously, this year had a lot of challenges to it, but we continue to come back from a lot of different adversities.
Some people had to step up and take on different roles on the team that they had last year. And then we had new players coming up from JV or players that didn't play full-time a lot last year in varsity actually having to step up and play, a new role now that they did not have last year. So it was ups and downs, a lot of highs, what felt like some lows, but when we talk about that, what is a low? It's a learning experience. That's all it is. You grow from it and you move on. So it was a good season. I enjoyed it.
This season definitely had some memorable games, one of them being first-round playoffs.
So for playoffs, getting into playoffs is a major goal just because you have to strive and work hard to maintain that record that can push you to get into playoffs, first of all. So making it is a fantastic accomplishment.
As high school players, a lot of times the emotions can kind of get the best of you. Pisgah had a really intense crowd, and they made comments and stuff towards our players. Their players made comments towards us as well, but we just remained calm, we remained composed, and I think that's a big part of the reason why we got through that game.
When on the field, everyone has an important role to play.
I play center back. That's like defense, and for me, that makes me be able to have the whole entire vision of the field. And so I kind of like am in charge, like the goalie is in charge of me, and I like direct other people around and let them know what they're supposed to do.
I play center mid, and my job is to basically get the ball and give it to another player as fast as I can.
So I'm an offensive player. I pretty much get the ball and distribute it out wide or up top, and they just do all the finishing and all the work and stuff like that.
Winning is even more fun when there's a bet behind it. Walking through the halls, you might have noticed many soccer players bleaching their hair.
So it started with Hayden Slager and Landon Miller. I made a deal that if we would have won first round, I would go blonde, and that's exactly what happened. We won, so I stuck by my word and went blonde.
You can't get far into a sports season without good team qualities.
We have, I'd say, drive, like the drive to win. Like we just keep going and we don't stop.
I think our ability to adapt and not give up, and we have a lot of heart and a lot of fight in us.
Definitely an impressive season. Since it is November, that means it's also election season. For a lot at Fretzy Ford, the time to be able to vote is soon, but some are already politically involved.
Midterms have just come to a close here in the U.S., which means it's time to take a look at the political demographic here at Ford and around the country. Voter turnout reached record levels, but despite that, the country is still at a gridlock. The House of Representatives is projected to go to the Republicans, and the Senate is projected to go to the Democrats. Everyone has something to say about government today, and everyone has an even stronger opinion on politics itself.
Politics, really, it all filters from money. It's what can be put in the pocket the fastest. And don't get me wrong, you do have some good politicians out there that want to do good for the people. But at the end of the day, it's really what's filtering into their pockets, which is sad. But it's a business at the end of the day, too.
I think there's like a lot of people spread a lot of hate to different people that think different ways. And I think that's like the main thing that's wrong with politics.
I think like with the issues that are happening with this right now, people are definitely getting more involved, and social media obviously is definitely big.
Outside influences can either strengthen or divert people's opinions on certain issues and policies concerning the nation. This can happen through either social media or through their families and friends.
I could say the biggest political impact of my life has definitely been my mom. My mom was a single parent. She was working way over the more what she should, but she had 3 kids to raise. So my mom, from a very young standpoint, was always, like, you want to do the right thing. You want to do what's right for your family. And she's just been a huge, huge political part in my whole life. I mean, she's the reason why I get so involved in certain stuff and why I'm so passionate about certain things too.
I think social media is leading people to believe things that are not right or not true when, I don't know, people just need to do their own research for certain things.
In 2018, 22% of non-voters said the reason they didn't vote was because they feel their vote doesn't matter. That number has risen to 36% this year, which means people are losing confidence in the worth of their vote.
I think if you talk to voices of those who the vote has been deprived of, they would say, well, absolutely the vote matters. And the ways in which America's history has seen that struggle for who can vote and who cannot, I would say absolutely our votes matter because of that, and speak to the importance of why it must not only be fostered and protected, but why in some ways it should maybe be expanded as well.
A lot of the sensationalism of news nowadays kind of makes people's vote feel like it doesn't matter, but your vote doesn't matter if you don't vote at all.
Voting is your way of saying, hey, this is my voice in the government. If you want something to be done in your way or your liking, then go ahead and put it out there. We have the First Amendment for a reason.
Voting would not be nearly as important if people were not spending so much time throughout our history trying to achieve that vote.
Different age groups prioritize different issues regarding their vote, although there is a wide array of issues prioritized by young new voters.
I think there's a misconception by young people, well, politics doesn't really matter to me or impact my life, but you don't have to look around all that much. Everybody, dollars and cents impacts everybody's lives, and so that alone is going to be something that has an impact on people.
I would probably vote by issue. That's how I think everyone should vote. Partisan voting is going to lead us down a very bad road either way. Too much of anything is a bad thing.
Some parties have my views, and then the other party has my other views. So I vote by issue and what just collectively has what I want more.
At a lot of the local level, it's going to be actually more, real practical politics, where sometimes it's not as densely shaded in terms of those party political identities that people get really wrapped up in, but in many ways it impacts our lives far more consequentially than you see with, some of those big national or even statewide races.
Make sure to follow along with the elections in your state because it does impact your day-to-day life. No matter where you fall on the political spectrum, everyone can agree that election season is important in reminding Americans that their voice can be heard.
Thanks, Alex. With all of the politics, you might have missed what happened this Saturday before election night, a Raiders meet, which brings us to our last segment of the week. Anthony?
The 54 JRDC Raiders meet was on Saturday the 5th of this month. Raiders from schools all over gathered to compete in a series of physical competitions. Our Raiders practiced especially hard this semester, and the stakes were high, with over 16 different teams reaching for first place.
To the meet, we always take our best 8. So a Raider team is 9 cadets, and then your best 8 get to compete, and you can rotate that 9th one out.
There were a total of 5 events that happened at the meet that Saturday. The obstacle course, the Humvee pole, the 5K run, the rope bridge, and finally the litter run. Each of these events our Raiders trained hard for, but only a select few could go.
I'll be competing in all the events. We have a few people that are universal. It's usually one person that switch out, but usually the people that are on the team are on all the events.
I am participating in the Humvee pool, the obstacle course, litter carry, rope bridge, and we are a little faulty in one of our teammates, so I might have to participate in the 5K too.
I participate in all of them, so that's a 5K, rope bridge, litter carry, a Humvee pole, and obstacle course.
Raiders is a team sport, and the strength of the relationship between each member of the team is just as, if not more important than the strength of the individual.
I feel like I work pretty well with the teams. I don't know how everyone else feels, but we get along pretty well. There's not really any arguing. We get stuff done.
Well, we basically treat each other like younger and older brothers. Like, from the outside, it might seem like we hate each other, but it's all about teamwork when it comes to this Raider team.
I think we work really well together. We have a good teamwork among us. We're all pretty friendly to each other. There's definitely some tough love sometimes, but overall it's a really good team.
On most days, our Raiders will practice after school for their meets. But to win these competitions and succeed, more than the standard is necessary of our Fred T. Ford Raiders.
At home, we usually take like our ropes home that we get for a rope bridge. We tie our Swiss seats, and usually on days we have off, we have to run at home or go to the gym or just do something extracurricular outside of school to just boost us.
For the Raider meet, if you're practicing at home, you need to be running at least 3 or 4 miles, or just lifting weights and keeping in shape. You can jump rope, basically anything that keeps your heart rate up.
At home, my biggest faulty definitely is cardio. So when I get home, I try to usually just do some laps around my neighborhood, make sure that my cardio and stamina is ready for the next Raider practice, which is usually Mondays and Thursdays.
Well, we practice after school, and so we have a series of 5 events that we do for the meet. And for the week, we usually run quite a bit, usually until the guys are close to throwing up. That's usually when I know they're about done.
Every one of Raiders' 14 members signed up for a reason. It's an extracurricular. People choose to go. But every member has a different reason for joining.
I joined Raiders because I was looking for an activity to do after school, and I was looking to get more in shape, so I thought that would be a fun thing to do. And then as I did it more and more, I started to enjoy it more and more. And then you get friends as the more you do it, so you just want to stay in it longer and longer.
I joined Raiders because due to some circumstances, I'm not able to do some sports. So Raiders is kind of like the thing that right there on the border of what I can do and what I can't. It's really what I can do, and I usually do it with the best of my ability.
I first joined Raiders because it was 2 people who inspired me, which was Nate Kurzak and Mark Mejia. They're graduated long by now, but I saw them do Raiders, and I was like, I want to do that. And after I did it, it's just, I guess, the rewardment that your body gives to you once you're finished working out is what I'm in for it now.
I joined Raiders because I just enjoyed the physical activity, and it was something to do outside of school.
The Raiders team won 1st place in the litter carry and vehicle pull, 3rd place in the obstacle course, and 5th place in the 5K run and rope bridge. So congratulations to our Raiders team for an impressive performance and the program for hosting the event.
Don't forget, the last day to donate to the canned food drive is the 15th. Well, that's all for this week, and we'll see you the next.